Okay, this is going to be a video for Advanced Algebra 2 with rational equations. Now, what you need to do with rational equations is very similar to what we did with addition and subtraction. You need a common denominator. Okay, so what we got to get, the big thing is we want to get a common denominator. All right, now, here's also what we have to do. We have to look for our discontinuities. Okay, so very similar to how we found the vertical asymptotes, we got to identify those first. So when I look at this, if I solve what's in the denominator, that's x equals 0. What that means is if my answer matches a discontinuity, you can't count it. Okay, look for discontinuities. Can't count as an answer. Now, let's go ahead and go through the work here. Okay, so what I'm going to do is put over 1 over 1. This is missing an x, so times x times x. This is, I mean, if you want to multiply by 1, but that's not going to change anything. This is missing an x and an x. So what I got here is I've got x squared, okay, plus 6 all over my common denominator equals 5 times x, which is 5x, over my common denominator, okay? Now, once I have the common denominator, okay, I really don't need it. And here's what I mean. If I gave you something simple like this, and I said, well, what's x have to be for those to be the case? You would say, oh, it's got to be 7. All right, well, what if I had, what would that need to be? You'd be like, oh, that has to be 8, okay? Why? Because once you have a common denominator, you just need to solve the top. So what we're going to do is we're going to look for those discontinuities. We're going to get a common denominator, and then we're going to solve the numerator. All right, so what that's going to look like is I got x squared plus 6x equals 5, or 6 equals 5x. Now this is a quadratic, so we want to move that back. That's going to be x squared minus 5x plus 6 equals 0. If I were to factor that, that would be x minus 2, x minus 3. And if I solve those factors, that'd be x equals 2 and x equals 3. Now, the only thing I had to be nervous of is if I got 0. Now, these are okay, so that's going to be my answer, okay? All right, now in this case, I'm going to have to factor this. This is going to be x minus 2, x minus 4. Okay, so this side's not missing anything. This is missing an x minus 4, so I've got to multiply that top and bottom. This is missing an x minus 2, multiply that top and bottom. Okay, so what I got here is I got 4 over my common denominator. This is going to be 3x squared minus 12x over my common denominator. Okay, 2 times x would be 2x. 2 times negative 2 would be negative 4. Now, since this is plus, I can keep that just like this. Now, what are my discontinuities? If I look at my original problem, my discontinuities would be 4 and 2. So I got to be mindful of that. Okay, so if I go to solve this, all right, what I got 3x squared minus 10x minus 4. All right, I got 4 over here. I would move that 4 over, okay, which would be subtracted 4. That's 3x squared minus 10x minus 8. Okay, if I factored that, 3 times negative 8 would be negative 24. Factors of negative 24 that would add up to negative 10. That'd be negative 12 and positive 2. Okay, because those would add up. That's 3x squared minus 12x plus 2x minus 8. Okay, that's an x, that's 3x, that's, I'm sorry, that should have been 3x here. What am I doing? It should have been 3x, that should have been x. Okay, and this would be, no, sorry, I'm getting confused here. Hold on. I wrote sloppily and then couldn't read my own writing. So what I have here, sorry, is 3x squared minus 12x plus 2x minus 8. So that would be x times 3x, x times 2, 3x times negative 4. So my factors are x minus 4, 3x plus 2. Okay, if I solve that, I would get 4, and I would get negative 2/3. Now, if you look at my discontinuities here, my discontinuity is 4, so this cannot count for the answer. That's the only one that can count. Okay? All right? Let's go ahead and do a subtraction 1. Okay, so this is gonna, and we're gonna do some more subtraction as well. This is gonna be x plus 3 here. This is gonna be x plus 3. This is gonna be x minus 5. And this is gonna factor to x minus 5, x plus 3, so I'm good on this. Now, what are my discontinuities? The discontinuities, okay, are x equals 5, x equals negative 3. Okay, so I just can't make sure my answer matches with that. Now, so what I got over here is 20 over the common denominator. This, 10 times x is 10x, 10 times 3 is 30. Now, what you want to do with the subtraction, multiply, so that would be 5x minus 20, and then change the signs. That will make life easier on you. So instead of 4x, it's negative 4x. Instead of negative 20, it's positive 20, all over the common denominator. So if I combine those on that side, I got 6x plus 50 equals 20. Okay? All right, and then I'm just going to solve. That's 6x equals negative 30, divided by 6. I get x equals negative 5, which is okay because it's not 5. Okay? So what I would like you guys to do is go ahead and practice those two. Wait for a second. All right, so now, let's take a look at this one. All right, this one is missing a 20, so I'm going to multiply by 20. This one is missing an x plus 1, so I'm going to multiply by x plus 1. This is missing a x and an x plus 1. So I got to multiply by them both. All right, now, this is 20x, no problem, common denominator. Okay, this, I would want to use the box to multiply. So I got 20x, okay. Oh, this is also missing an x. X, that's going to be 20x squared, sorry. Okay, so that's 20x minus 20 times x plus 1, that's 20x squared minus 20x, okay, plus 20x, okay, minus 20, okay? Now, so what that would combine to, these will go away, that's 20x squared minus 20. Now, since it's subtraction, I want to change those signs. So 20 minus 20x, okay? That, instead of negative 20 now, would be positive 20, okay? All right, my multiply over here, that's going to be x squared plus 1x, all over the common denominator. Now, what are my discontinuities? The discontinuities here are 0 and negative 1. So I just got to make sure that that's not the case. Now, if I go to combine these, those go away. So I got 20 equals x squared plus 1x. Move the 20 over by subtraction or changing the sign. That's going to be x squared plus 1x minus 20. If I were to factor that, okay, that would be x plus 5, x minus 4. If I solve that, I get negative 5 and I get 4, which are both okay, all right, for my answers. Big thing is when you go from here to here, change the signs, okay? Make sure you change the signs because that will help you get the problem right. Let's do another one, okay? This is going to factor to x minus 2, x minus 1, okay? This I multiply by x minus 2. This I multiply by x minus 1, okay? All right, so that's going to be 2x minus 5 over the common denominator. Nothing's going to happen there, okay? This times this is x squared. This times this is negative 2x. All right, I'm going to multiply. That's going to be 1x minus 1. So because it's subtraction, that's going to be negative 1x, positive 1. Okay? So if I combine those, that's x squared minus 3x plus 1 equals 2x minus 5. Okay? Now, what are my discontinuities? My discontinuities there are 1 and 2. Okay? All right? So if I go to factor this, I would move that over. That's x squared minus 3x plus 1 minus 2x plus 5 equals 0. That's going to be x squared minus 5x plus 6 equals 0. Okay? If I factor that, that's x minus 3, x minus 2 equals 0. Solutions would be 3 and 2. Well, here's the problem. because 2 is one of the discontinuities. I can't count that one. I can only count 3. Okay? All right, so you want to identify those discontinuities. Okay, this comes from those asymptotes. Okay? So make sure you solve. When you're doing subtraction, multiply, and when you go here, change the signs of the result. Okay, so I changed that result. Just like on this one, okay? I had this, I had to multiply this using the box. And then when I did that, when that moved, that changed signs. That's the key with subtraction that tends to cause people problems. Okay? So, go ahead and practice these two, and then you should be fine with the equations.